Hello, everybody. How's it? Hope everyone's good.
Hello.
Hello, Oli.
Hey, Daniel, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. Good. Thanks.
First office hours. How exciting.
I know. I'm stoked. Can't wait to talk to people and see what everyone's up to. If you're in the chat, say hi. We'd love to see who's around. Do a quick introduction, I think, shall we?
Let's jump in.
I'm Daniel Rivers. I'm one of the engineers at Kind.
Cool.
I'm looking after like SDKs, bit of product development, sort of user experience, developer experience, etc.
Cool. I'm Ollie. I'm the product manager here at Kind, but at Kind we wear many hats. We do many things. You also see me on support, sales, marketing, and you also see Daniel on support as well. We all lend a hand on support. And we're all experts on the product, no matter who we are. And that's why in future office hours, you'll probably see some other Kind faces talking about other areas of the product. So we share the knowledge and the domain knowledge of the Kind platform. But yeah, it's good to be in our first office hours. Daniel, I know you're not from London, but we're streaming live from London. How's the ride in?
Yeah, it's good. I'm from Cambridge, so it's about an hour's train drive down. So yeah, not too bad.
Nice.
It was quite an easy journey, to be fair. Just an hour on the train and about half hour walking to the office where we've met up.
Cool.
So really excited to get cracking in, sort of talk about some new features and Kind stuff and bits and bobs that are going on. And if people got some questions, feel free to jump in and ask as we go along. That's what we're going to try and do. So yeah.
Should we jump into some topics that people reached out about?
Yeah, go for it. What have we got?
Let me get some things up. People always wanted to know more SDK features and updates we've made. We see a lot of people using the React SDK. Daniel, I know you've made some changes. Well, not you specifically, but there's been quite a few changes on the React SDK. What's something that we can talk about that our audience will like to hear
So
about?
I think we quite commonly get asked questions around how they can people can easily restrict access to different features based on roles, permissions, feature flags, entitlements, etc. And we with the release of billing, we've been able to really implement this in the way that we've kind of envisaged for some time. So obviously with Kind, we don't just do auth, we also have billing, which we released recently, which gives entitlements. So as part of that, we've released the account portal and also a brand new account API. So people are familiar, we've got our management API in place already. We've had that forever, which you can now do a lot of management application stuff on your Kind account. But what we've also now got is the account API, which works with the user token. And so from that user token, you can then make requests to get the user's roles, permissions. You can find out any entitlements. You can find anything about the users. So you don't have to include that information in the token. So one of the issues of including stuff in the token is it can be bulk out the token, slow down all the requests. But what we've done now is we've released the account API, which allows people to make all those queries. So with that, we've rolled it out to the React SDK, and we're looking at rolling it out to other SDKs now. And so this is, I can show you a code example in a minute, but I'll just talk you through what the high level premise of it is. So what we were looking at doing was having a single method which allows you to queries what the permissions and eligibilities that a single user has. So that could be what roles they have, what permissions they have, what billing entitlements they have, or a combination of all of those, and query all that back. But also mix between having looking at the account API or looking at the token. So for example, permissions are generally in the access token, but let's say, for example, you've changed their users' permissions, or you downgraded their rights, and they would try to do an action in which you've downgraded them from. Because the access token is still valid, they would still have access to do that. But you can now use the account API to sort of double check and verify that that's all set up. So what I'll quickly do is I'll jump across some code and I'll show you how that kind of works. Yeah, feel free to ask questions as we go along. So what we have here is a React application. It's one of our starter kits. And
might be good to zoom in a tiny bit, Daniel, if that's okay. Is that possible?
Yeah, there we go. Is that better?
Maybe once more. Is that fine? You're going to be able to see
that's fine. Yeah, that's all good for me.
That's good.
That's good. So yeah, we've got this new component called protected route, which allows you to, which looks into React router, and this allows you to say these routes are protected, and you can now provide a has method here. So what's really beneficial about this is what it will do is this here, for example, is this route. Its admin route is protected to everybody who has the role admin. But you can extend this out. So you could extend it to say permissions. So it's giving me a bunch of previews here. So you can do permissions and you can pass across an array of permissions. So they've got to have a read permission on that. And then you can also pass feature flags. It's again, there's a dark mode feature flag. That exists on this account, and then but you can also go into billing eligibilities as well. So entitlements. So there's a Bob Hello Fish. You can see some of my testing going on here. So these are all coming through. And every single one of these would have to be true in order for it to accept that this user has access to this route. So what this is given, I can format this a little bit better for everyone to see. But what this will do is this will give a really clean, easy way to just visually see that this user has to have all these things to access that area of the account.
How do you, maybe I'm jumping ahead a bit here, Daniel, but how do you define some of the permissions and feature flags and billing entitlements that you can use?
Exactly. So I've actually preset some of these up. That's why I think the code completion completed it for me. Cool. So as you can see here, I've got role and admin. But if I try putting, let's try putting like billing user, billing role, or finance role. I don't think I've got that finance role here. That won't let me do that. So this is actually failing, and this is because TypeScript. Everyone loves a bit of TypeScript. Obviously, this is opt-in as well. This is not something you have to use. So if you're not a TypeScript user, it's not going to restrict you here. But with here, what you would do is, I would scroll up. You would include this into your TypeScript file. So you would declare a new module here. And then you would create an interface called kindconfig, which will allow you to certify your roles, permissions, feature flags, and billing entitlements, which your application wants to use, or you're wanting to consume within your application. So obviously we've added the role of finance down here. So if I add finance to this list, replace Bob, it's a bit of a random one. Now that will be fine, and that would accept that. So cool. We've got full TypeScripting capabilities within this, and just by defining it within your TypeScript file, which I think is quite powerful in itself, because it gives you that confidence around your code, and you're not going to accidentally put a random character in there and break something. So that's quite nice to do.
That's really awesome.
So what I was also talking about is the fact that, this permission read, this may be here now when the person signed in, but obviously when they, if you remove that permission, we want to make sure that we're restricting access. So what you can do here is you can go force API. If I say force API true, what that will actually do is it will force all of the checks to be done via the account API. So it will go and check the roles, and it will go and check the user's permissions to ensure that the user has access to these now, as opposed to when the token was minted. So that gives a lot of confidence around. That's where I would say that was best used is, for example, you may show a button to give access to something, because you can do that from the token. But then if you want to, when they're actually performing that action, you may want to just double check you haven't removed that permission. So the button visibility will be done quickly, but then the rest of it will be done elsewise.
What's the default behavior if you don't explicitly configure force API?
Yes, that's kind of mixed. Each one is individually kind of done. It's a great question. It's very hard to answer. So let's say for permissions.
Someone's got to ask the tough questions, Daniel.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks. So the permissions are always done from the token by default. Roles, within Kind, roles are an opt-in. So you would opt in to include them into the token. So by opting into the token, then we would obviously, if they're opted in, we would check the token first. But if you haven't opted in, we will go straight to the API. So roles is a bit of a mixed one, depending on how you've set your token up. Feature flags, that will check the API. Check the token, because you can include those in the token. And billing entitlements, they will go to the API all the time, because we don't include those there's no way of including those by default without a workflow into the token. So we always set the API for those.
So basically, if something isn't a token by default, it'll look for the token unless you explicitly say force API.
It will look at the token, yeah. And that's performance. It will make sure that the tokens, we want to make sure that we're keeping people's applications performant as much as we can. What I would say is, when we got the force API, if you're requesting all of them, it will do those asynchronously as a promise all. So you won't be doing one request after the other. It will go through and do them all at the same time, just to make sure we got that additional velocity of the application. But let's say, for example, here that we actually wanted to change it up a little bit more, and we got roles and permissions, but we only wanted to check roles, or only want to check permissions. We can change this to an object. So here we can change this to an object, and we can say that we want to do, that's completely wrong what it's put there, but I can put permissions true. And this one now will go permissions, will now go to API. But the roles will, if they're in the token, it will look at the token. So this before you can granularly decide what you want to ask the API versus not. So by opting in, you're not opting into everything, which is one really, really cool thing.
Very flexible.
Yeah, but we can get a bit further than that. So let's take feature flags of dark mode. This here will check to see whether or not you've got a feature flag of dark mode. But we can expand this out. So if I change this to an option, to an object, sorry, inside the array, now it's saying that the feature flag dark mode has the value of true. So while you're obviously got the feature flag, you want to check the particular value. It may be that you've not necessarily got a true false. You may have a different type of object within your feature flag, because I think feature flags can obviously contain multiple different types of values. So you can do a lot more checks around that. And then I think there's also an additional one called condition. But I can't remember. Condition. I can't remember how to do that bit. There's one more piece which I didn't check before, but you can actually add a I think condition. You can also add an extra object here. I think, is it there? It might be somewhere else. It might be. There's another way you can add almost like a callback, so you can do some more advanced checks on a particular flag. So yeah, there's certain options we can do there to sort of granularly sort of define things. That condition is kind of an edge case, so we're going to document that a little bit more. So it's kind of what if just a standard check isn't enough and you want to do more stuff around that, that's the right sort of thing to do there. So obviously this is using it within the protected route, which is absolutely fine. This all comes from our js-utils method. So this all comes from our js-utils. So this is available in any SDK which uses js-utils at the moment, which will be like our React and our Expo SDKs. We'll be rolling out to other SDKs, including like the Next.js. I think it's one of the next ones up to get this functionality. But we'll be rolling it out to all the others from PHP to Python and everything. We'll have exactly the same interface. So we're really looking forward to getting this rolled out. But if we go to the home here, so if this, for example, this is one of the, it checks the admin role. So this here is just saying, have you got the admin role? And it just sets some other stuff up and it decides whether or not you get the admin link at the top of the screen. So very, very simple logic there. And if I switch my view to my browser, you can see I've got an admin view in my top menu there. And that's because I've got the admin view set up. And if I click that, it will come through to that. If I save the other screen, it mostly won't let me onto that page anymore because I've messed up my settings. But if I save, I've saved the now it won't let me. I've saved that admin role. So this is where you got that double check happening. So you've got the visibilities coming from just using the has within the component. But now when I click it, it's just saying I'm not allowed to that route. So it's redirecting you back, because I've, as you can see in the code here, I've added lots of different roles, permissions, feature flags, and all this kind of stuff all set up, which obviously restricts it and won't let me into the view anymore. But if I restrict that back, if I remove all this stuff back down to just having the role there, which is what the standard kind of thing would be, and then I come back to the browser view, I can now click on admin, and I'm okay to view into that admin. So this is kind of it gives a real rich possibility to restricting access, utilizing the roles, permissions, feature flags, billing entitlements, all in one very neat package. And I think quite nice and easy to read. Simple to TypeScript, simple to protect it. So yeah, that's in our React SDK today. And yeah,
I feel like now that you showed this, people are going to be banging on your door, Daniel, to get this into the Next.js SDK and other SDKs as well, relying on js-utils, because what you just showed me is so easy to use.
Yeah, with the Next.js one's obviously, because obviously the different routing, you got obviously the different ways you can use Next.js, makes it a little bit quite challenging as well, and the different flavors of Next.js. We're working on a very similar sort of interface on how you do the root protection in a more configurational kind of way, as opposed to having to do lots of code in lots of different places. So we've got some concepts all drawn up, and we're just basically looking at which is the right way we want to go through. But we're certainly open to feedback, and also suggestions on what people would like to see from the SDKs. It's something which we're working tirelessly on. We've got a few people working on this right now.
On that note, please don't be afraid to just raise an issue on our GitHub repos, on our open source packages, SDKs. Raise a PR. We'll look at them. We always do. Don't be afraid to reach out with any feedback or suggestion on how to improve it.
Yeah, 100%. I think when I talk to people who use Kind, I'm always our roadmap is defined by you guys who use the product, and so yeah, really keen on hearing how people use it, what problems they're having, and what they'd like to see from us in the near future. And more people who talked about particular features, we obviously will react to that.
Awesome. Should we jump to something else?
Yeah.
What else can we talk about? I guess we can talk about more of a core infrastructure feature. We recently released our native support for API keys. So yeah, Daniel, what do you think? Should we jump into that?
Yeah, certainly. If
I can walk you through it and explain what to do, but you're gonna have to drive. Let's see how we go.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Let's see how we get on with that. Let me log on to the right account for us.
While Daniel's doing that, basically, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with API keys. There's many use cases for it. One is, let's say you're a B2B business, you have your users interact through a web app, but also through APIs. Maybe you get those APIs through a higher pay plan or not, and you want to give those people who have the right access rights to access those API endpoints, and also have scopes on those API keys so that people can only access through the API what they're given permission to access. And we have a new feature which makes that a whole lot easier.
Yeah, people ask for this all the time. Like you do client secrets, and I think before people have created applications via API and issued a client ID and secret to their customers to be able to access their APIs. But this is going to really simplify that, isn't it? I think.
Definitely.
So let me share my browser, and you can tell me what you want me to do.
Cool. So I reckon on that note, because we're talking about B2B, this can also be used for users, and you'll see while going through this how this can be applied to users. But let's go to an organization, Daniel.
Yeah.
Maybe let's open up the red org. I created that just before this. And you'll see a new sidebar menu option of API keys. So let's go there. You haven't got any keys yet, so it's going to prompt you to create one. So let's go create one, Daniel. So you've got to give it a name. Daniel has already have some APIs created, but if you don't, you need to register your API with Kind. Daniel's already done that. And also you should register some scopes as well. In this case, we only have one scope, but that's fine. We can work with that. So definitely include the scope on this Daniel. Just use custom API. That's fine. But click on scopes. It's going to create one. You're going to see an API key. Don't worry. We're going to revoke or delete this key after this recording's done. And you can't really do anything with it fundamentally. But one thing one thing to point out is once you close the screen, that API key, you won't be able to get it anymore. It is only shown right now, and you need to copy it somewhere. So yeah, let's copy that, Daniel, and let's close it. And now you can see that API key. If you click on that toggle as well, the ellipsis on the top right, you can rotate it and you can revoke that key as well. Rotating it will keep the same details, but the API key will change. So if you try use the existing API key to verify it, it will say it's not active, and revoking is just deleting it. We probably should have set up a way to call the API. There's an API endpoint where you can actually verify the key, and it'll send you some details of it. I don't know. Do we want to give it a crack and do it through the?
Well, I could show the management API.
Yeah. Let's try.
Oh, so yeah, we can try it. So let's Kind management API. Let's have a look. Google get Kind management API. Okay. So yeah. So through the API.
And then there's a specific one called verify API key.
Yeah. Cool.
Do you think we can give it a crack at testing it, or we haven't got everything set up?
I haven't got a client secret for the end-to-end configured. I could have got a...
That's fine. We can work with this. Basically, it's pretty self-explanatory. You give the API key details, and it'll return information saying whether it's active or not. And if it's active, it'll also give the scopes of the API key. So pretty self-explanatory. We don't have to run through it. It's all good then.
Yeah. So we got... So I think looking at this API here, it looks like we can do quite a lot of stuff with it, actually.
Everything you just showed on the Kinde Admin, you can do through API as well. You can create an API key, you can delete it, you can rotate it. So you can basically create your own UI to show to your customers, so you can do this all self-serve. And also, very, very soon, we are enabling this to be in our portal as well. As Daniel mentioned before, we have a newly released portal. And basically, your customers can create keys, store those keys, and use that API keys all themselves. You don't have to really do much to show that logic to your customers, which is very cool.
That's going to be quite... It's going to be really powerful, especially putting it in the hands of either if you can build your own UI around this or use our own hosted portal. It looks really powerful to be able to just do that all linked through to the organization or the user.
Yeah, exactly. One more thing to show, maybe if you go back to the Kinde Admin, Daniel, I just want to show basically you can do the same thing for users, but we might as well show it. So go to a user, just any user.
Any user.
You can go to yourself. You'll see API keys there as well, and it's the exact same thing. But this is for when you have a consumer product and you want to give them API access. This allows you to do that.
It works for both B2C and B2B, or B2B to C.
And whatever other model you have, maybe you have a marketplace where you need both businesses and consumers on both sides. It's really caters to all audiences. We also think this will be super powerful if you're an AI, like you have, you're an AI company and you want to have different APIs that give access to different LLMs or other models or whatever it may be. This is very powerful for those people in that scenario.
This is really cool. Yeah, I think this is literally just come out in beta. Is it like a few days ago?
Very fresh.
So yeah, it's in beta at the moment.
Hot off the press.
So people aren't aware of the way we kind of roll things out in Kind. We kind of roll them out once we think they're ready. So beta is in beta because, based on feedback, we may change some of the interface of some description, but it's very unlikely we're going to be changing anything, but it's going to be breaking. So you can be confident to use this and crack on and put it into your application. It's more marked as beta just because we're basically working based on feedback and improving the functionality, improving what we got going on. So that's really cool.
And we want to hear your feedback, especially when it's in beta.
100%. Yeah, please give it a go and let us know what your experiences are. We look forward to seeing what you come up with.
Awesome.
So what else have we got coming on the
There's a few other things that have been released as well, but it'll be good to show them. Bookmark pages. I know that's something you worked on, Daniel. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I can just quickly just make sure that I've got a setup which is all ready for that. So we just double check to make sure my setup's all ready for it. And what else is there? Whilst I'm just quickly checking this out.
Device authorization flow.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Should we talk about that?
Yeah, we can talk about that. Certainly, that's quite exciting. I really like this one because it's cool. Yeah, no, I can talk about the bookmark. Let's quickly do the bookmark while it's on topic, and then we'll come back to the device authentication because that's a really cool one, and we're really excited to what's coming up there. And we've got a few things to show off as well. But let me just go back to my browser. So one common problem we have is being a hosted solution, and the way that OAuth works is that you have to start the authentication from your application, and it has to come through. And as part of that, you pass over the client ID and even potentially a secret from back in the application. And that starts an authentication flow. And once that authentication flows, it goes to our pages. We render the login page. And then once that's completed, we go back to your application. Now, there's certainly some applications out there, and we've had feedback from customers where they don't have a marketing page. They don't have a page which people
start
go
flow
to.
from.
Yeah, you got nowhere to start. So when you just by virtue of going to a custom domain or just going to the application, it redirects straight through to the login page. And so
we also have a lot of people who just bookmark the login page because they're like, it's a common page to go to.
So I think we this isn't a unique situation, a unique problem that Kind faces, but we found a solution for this, which we're quite pleased with. This is in I think it's mostly rolled out to most of the APIs at the moment, SDKs. There's maybe a couple of SDKs which is still to be rolled out to. But it's a bit of function we call reauth. It's kind of we call it reauth internally, but it's basically bookmark protection. So if you bookmark the link, it won't break. So within the browser, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to sign in, and on that sign in page, I'm going to copy. You can't see my address bar, but I've copied the URL bar, the URL of the login screen. I can paste it in here to see what I've done. So this is the URL I've pasted. So this is the full login URL which Kind generates. And if I go through now and continue the login auth flow, I'm now signed in. Great. If I sign out and I just paste that URL back in again, it will work and it will log me. It will start an auth flow. Now, difficult for me to show on my screen share, but what it's actually done here is it's realized that you're trying to use a already completed authentication flow. And so what it will then do is it will send a response back to your application to say, hey, look, you've already done this flow. Can you just start it again because the user's bookmarked it and we need to start a fresh flow? And so what it will then do is it will repackage up all the information that needs to start an authentication flow and start again. So there's no difference between what you're using the bookmark link or not using the bookmark link. It will work the same way. You'll get a additional round trip to your server just whilst it regenerates a new URL. But your users can now go ahead and bookmark the Kind login page as much as they like, and it will just work.
This is another feature where we saw a lot of people experiencing this. We didn't foresee a lot of people bookmarking the page. We always thought people would start it from some marketing landing page, and we found that when people were bookmarking the page, it would cause issues. And we enhance the platform so it caters to those that do this use case. And now it works as normal. And thanks to Daniel for driving the work to deliver that feature.
Yeah, we were quite pleased how this came up and how it turned out. So yeah, I think it's been well received by people. we've certainly seen a marked reduce in support questions asking about problems which are arising from bookmarking. So yeah, we're really pleased to be able to get this one through the door.
Awesome.
So yeah, you want to talk about device authentication?
Yeah, let's do device authorization flow.
Yeah. So if I stay on the browser and I come back to the Kinde page here, well, I've just closed it down by accident. Okay, so if I come, what you may have seen earlier on, I've got this CLI now. So it's a new application type. So it's quite exciting. First application type we've added in like quite a long time, at least maybe a couple of years. So if I go to add application here, you'll see there's a new one here. So before we had backend, M2M, front end and mobile, but now we've got device and IoT. And what is really cool about this one is it allows you to authenticate and complete authentication on a different device to what you're on. So what you might people in the UK, I don't know about other people in the rest of the world, or but if you're logging onto a smart TV and you're trying to log on to BBC iPlayer, or you're trying to log on to Netflix on your TV, what you will find is that they will present you with like a URL to go to and a code, or they'll present you with a QR code you can scan, and you scan that with your phone, and then you complete the login flow on your phone, and then once you've completed that flow, your TV will then come to life and it will start acting how you want it to act. And so what we've done, we can now do that in Kinde. So we've got the device flow. So as you can see, I've got the CLI one bit up here. This is the details for it here. I've got some custom domains it comes back to, the normal settings you're kind of used to. I've got here, we have an extra flag here. So uses applications to default device app. So where this is good is you don't have to pass across a client ID. If you've only got one on your account, you can go ahead and just use this one device account and it will do everything. And you don't need to supply a client ID to do that. You just supply your Kinde domain, and it will complete that flow and go through that process. So that's quite a neat addition. That you don't have to use the client ID now on this. So that's quite nice. So I've actually got the ability to demo this. What I've got is a mobile device here and a terminal window. So what I can do is in my terminal, I can show you another new thing we've got coming out. This isn't quite ready. We're currently working on and making really good progress on a command line interface, so CLI, which will allow you to do management of your Kinde account via the CLI. So really good for when you're doing things on some kind of workflow, or you're doing things maybe even in GitHub Actions. You want to basically do the authentication and then complete that process. We're going to be enabling all of that functionality through the CLI. It's not fully functional yet. This is still very early. We're still work in progress, so definitely not production ready yet. And we will certainly talk about it when it's production ready, and maybe the next open office will do more talking about this CLI in more detail. But what I can do here is I've already got it installed. So I can do, if I type in Kinde, you can see we have the CLI here. So I've already generated the completion script. So that's there. We've got help. We've got login, logout, manage, version, and who am I. So it will tell you who you are. So what I can do is if I do Kinde login, what that will do is that will present me with a QR code. And then on my phone, I will complete that login flow. So I will scan the QR code. So you can see on my screen here. So there we go. So now what you can see is it's taken the QR code. So as you can see in the URL here, we have, it's got the user code. So what it's done is it's pre-filled the user code. I don't think you can see all of that window. Okay, so it's, I've trimmed my window too much. I'll paste it afterwards so you can see. So it's actually pre-filled a code. So this can be done with or without a code, and then the user would have to type in the code. So the QR code allows you to pre-fill that in. So within the device confirmation here, the code's pre-filled. I can't change it because it's pre-filled. I can hit confirm, and then it will allow me to go through the flow. Is it working? Looks like my phone's disconnected. 2 seconds. Let me reconnect my phone. 2 seconds, and I'll come back to the screen. Give me 2 seconds.
While Daniel's doing that, I always think of this flow as the following scenario. Like I am logged into Netflix on my phone, and I just bought a new TV and I need to set up Netflix on my TV. When I log into my TV, it asks me to go to a link on my phone or go to the app on my phone and basically authenticate myself into my TV. And this is what the device authorization flow allows you to do in a similar setting. It doesn't need to be a TV. It could be any Internet of Things device that would support this.
Hopefully that's all back up. There it goes. So if I hit confirm now, it will come through to the continued auth, which everyone's familiar with. It's no different to what you would do if you're going through the browser. It's just all through your mobile device. So I can hit continue on here, and it will ask me if I want to authorize that application or not. So if I hit accept here, I'm now signed in. You can close the browser tab, and what will happen very shortly? I'm now logged in. So the terminals realize that I've finished logging in, and it's now presented me with a user ID, which is really good.
So cool.
So what I can then do is I can now go, who am I? Go kind, who am I? And that will present me with my ID token. You can see I've got a couple of testing feature flags in there, but this is my my ID token for my user. So that's come through, and that's all working as expected now. So this is a brand new thing, a brand new way of authenticating applications through Kind, and we're super excited that we've got this one out the door. So yeah, this is going to allow you from anything really. So if you've got like a WhatsApp bot and you want to basically get people to authenticate into a WhatsApp bot, or you've got like a TV application you're working on, you can now authenticate straight through Kind on that without having any other back end.
So cool.
Yeah, however you wish to do it. You may want to give this as an option to your users as well, to log in using a device as opposed to logging in using the user and password or social login they have already.
That's so cool. I've never seen a demo as well where you show your screen and a phone in the same sort of scene. Yeah, it's so cool. How did you do that, Daniel? I know you use some piece of technology.
Yeah, I use actually a terminal command. It's called which I SCRCPY, which is a great product. I don't know who wrote it. I'm not affiliated in any way, but I found it. You run it through command line, and as long as you got the device connected up and works all fine. And what's really cool is you can control the application using your mouse and keyboard as well. So you can control the phone, so you can do everything you want on the phones. It's really good when you're doing mobile app development. So I'd recommend it for anyone who does React Native or Expo or Flutter or anything, those kind of apps. I'd recommend using something like this. I find it much better than using the emulator. The emulators are quite slow and take up a lot of resources. And also just picking up my phone all the time. I just don't want to do that all the time. I'd rather just use my device. So I find it really good using this. So yeah, I'd recommend hooking that up. And then obviously I can bring it onto the stream as well. So you can just share it on meetings or whatever you want to do.
So cool. Love that.
Yeah.
There's more features we released recently. Should we talk about more team member roles?
Yeah, do you need to go through that? You can.
Yeah, again, I'll probably have to guide you through it on your laptop, Daniel. I'm not driving.
Not a problem at all. Let's do it.
Do you mind going to your Kinde Admin?
I can do. Let's bring that way. There you go.
Cool. Let's go back to home. And let's go to settings. Oh, actually not settings. Go down to your avatar on the bottom left.
Yeah.
Go back. Sorry. Team members.
Team members. Might be worth pointing out actually this is our portal.
Yeah, a lot of Kind we dog feed what we build. So what you're seeing here is us using our portal for our Kind Admin. We'll talk about that a bit later. I don't want to confuse people a little bit, but yes, good point, Daniel.
And people may notice that there's a common feature request in this view as well of invitations. So that's something which we're currently dogfooding. So watch this space, I guess. We're when you're doing this, it's using invitations. Obviously, quite a common process now, isn't it? Where you want to invite somebody to a business and they accept that invitation and they're added to that business once they've been completed, that flow. Similar process here. So this is something which we've had in Kind for some time. Anyone who's used Kind for a while and play around with team members and stuff, you'll see that you can invite people. We're starting to surface that more through the through this portal, which this will allow people to do that. And I think here is I know Oli said don't want to muddy the water, but this is really cool. Like the business settings, being able to this would be under organizations, I believe, wouldn't it? So you'd be able to if you're a B2B business, you'll be able to allow your customers to manage their users and invitations at some point in the future. So the invitations soon, but I think users, you'll be able to set all that up. So it's quite exciting.
Very exciting. We have a lot of exciting things that we're working on. But back to team member roles. So Daniel, if you don't mind going to add a member, we're not going to actually add someone, but I just want to show you all the different team members you can add now. So before you could only add an admin, but there's some other team member roles so that you can see. So there's customer success, there's engineer, there's finance, there's marketing, and there's still an owner. And basically what this is depending on the role, you can have certain permissions in the Kind admin. I'll let you play around with them because there's a lot of things going on. But what I'll do is, Daniel, I'm going to change your current role in our backend just to make things easier from owner to read only. And then I'm going to get you to do something to refresh that. So I've done that in the backend. Let's go back to Kind.
Yep.
And then let's go back to team members. The token it'll refresh and it should say that you're oh, I think I actually forgot to save. Give me a second. No, I did do it. All right. Let's do this.
It might be my account, so this is one of my testing systems. So yeah, my account might be a bit strange on this one.
No, it's all good. I think let's go back to Kind. And let's go to settings. And let's go to any of the settings. Let's go to like MFA or something like that, or policies.
Yeah, MFA is.
Nope, actually, okay. Let's just do something so we can force reset your new role. Give me a second. Oh, I know what I did.
Oh, you set up in the wrong. I see.
I did the wrong organization. All right, let's go back to what we were doing.
So if I go back to team members here now.
Yeah, let's go back to team members. Sorry about this. Yep, so now you're read only. Cool. So I've changed Daniel to a read only role. And now let's go back to Kind so you can see what that means. Sorry, Daniel, I've changed the wrong one.
I can't do anything.
Yeah, so a lot of things are just like grayed out. You can see everything, but you can't really do anything. This is just one of the many team member roles. And the reason for this is, I guess, if you want to restrict certain people from making certain actions, this is how you can do it. And it might be helpful for if you're going through SOC 2 or ISO 27001, certain compliances to prove that you're putting in mechanisms to mitigate people doing funky stuff. But there's many team roles here. Reach out if you want other team member roles. We're open to feedback. But just one of the many changes we've made on Kind recently.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I've not really played around with this one too much, so it's really cool. Seeing all those different roles, there's quite a lot of different roles there. It's quite neat.
There's a lot. There's a hell of a lot.
So yeah, I can't add. This is because I haven't got the right permissions now.
There you go.
So yeah, this is quite cool. I like this. I think it's this comes up quite often. from customers asking about how they could do this, because I think before everyone was an admin.
Yep.
So having this restricted down certainly is going to give a lot more options to people to use the Kinde dashboard.
Cool. A few other things we can walk through. I'm just conscious of time, Daniel. We can either show a bit of the portal, but I think we're going to have to create some billing plans for that, or we can talk about any SDK features. Someone mentioned they want to know other SDK features we got it going on, or we can talk about what's coming up as well. What do you reckon?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of things. The SDK wise, obviously we're doing a lot of work at the moment on a lot of our full stack SDKs. So on making it so they're more separated. So you may have seen some work going on around our Java and our Python SDK, where you beforehand in our earlier versions of the Python SDK, for example, you had to have one client ID and secret for the whole application. But now you can use the management SDK separately, and you can inject a token coming in from another application. So let's say, for example, you have a React front end and a Python backend. Your React application will do the authentication potentially and pass it through. You may have like a React native application and you want to just send the access token over. You can now utilize that in our backend SDKs, and that's being worked on and improved as we speak. We've got a number of engineers who are working on that at the moment, just to improve that flow, make that more complete. So that's one thing which has been ongoing for a while. But I think it's really good. We're really working on improving the flexibility of these SDKs. Another thing I think recently is coming up a lot of traction is the Tanstack Start. This is something we're looking into and getting an SDK out for Tanstack Start. So I know we're getting starting to get a few more requests over the last few weeks. What would be worthwhile mentioning though is that although Kinde is a hosted auth solution, we've got our SDKs. There is very little. The SDKs don't do a huge amount. And especially in the JavaScript ecosystem, it's really easy to use Kinde without an SDK. So what we have is our js-utils, and this is forming the basis of a lot of our newer SDKs. I'll just bring up the repo for this. So the documentation for this is a little bit light because obviously it's like a back end kind of functionality. But we have our js-utils repository, which is being heavily worked on, heavily improved, and heavily expanded upon. But if you've got even any kind of application and which you can use our SDKs, entirely happy for you to continue using SDKs or something. But a lot of times you don't even need it, and it could just add bulk for what you don't want to necessarily have. So what this gives you a suite of functions which allow you to utilize Kinde functionality in a simple way. So one of the things, for example, is you've got generate auth URL, and that allows you to, as it says on the tin, just generate authentication URL. You're not needing an SDK for this. It's just using this package, this utility library, to generate the authentication URL. And then you can redirect the user to that redirection URL and the auth URL. And when they come back, you can then exchange the tokens. So there are helpers, the way it'll be in here. There's extract auth results from the implicit flow, but there's also a method in here. I need to add this one to docs, but there's one called like code exchange. So that will take the code exchange for the tokens, and it all works in the storage. So here we've got options here. So we've got local memory storage, just stores it in local memory, Chrome Store for Chrome extensions, Expo for Expo apps, and we've got local storage as well. And we've got a few other ones coming along the line for this one as well. And then once the token is in this storage, you can just call get claim. You can go get permissions, get flags. All this information is available straight out of the tin. So really, for example, our React SDK, when it really gives you like the login button calls the generate auth URL. When it comes back, it does the code exchange, puts it into the storage. It splits it between two different storages on the React SDK, and then really you've got all of the methods and functions which you're used to across our SDKs. So while we are working on a TanStack Start SDK, really they're quite lightweight. You should be able to crack on and use Kind within TanStack without any complications. It's just a case of how you would structure that. When we're doing an SDK, we don't think necessarily about the single use case. We're trying to consider many different use cases for many different users and many different applications. So that's why an SDK will take a little bit longer to get off the ground than if you just put it into your application and used js-utils, for example, to get that going without using the SDK.
Lots of exciting things to work on. Why don't we show one more thing, which is the portal. I'm just making a tiny change, so it'll be easy to show.
Good stuff.
And then let's go.
And then we've got another 8 more minutes, but let's if anyone's got any questions on what we've shown today, anyone wants to ask any questions about Kind, maybe not come across Kind before, or you're new to seeing what you're seeing and you want to ask something, there's no silly questions here. I'd be happy to answer anything anyone's got, really.
Sure. Please reach out. We want to hear from you. Daniel, let's go to the Kind admin again when you can.
Yeah, let's do that. Just get that back at money.
Oh, actually, I need to change you from read only.
Oh, but still read only. Oh, that's one view.
Yeah, let me quickly change that.
I'm still read only.
I know, poor thing. He needs some more permissions.
Oh, there's one thing I didn't show actually, which I was going to show. Let me just quickly show that. Come back to this view here. So I was going to show about the URL changing, wasn't I? About the fact that you can provide the URL without the code. So if I show the terminal, if I grab the URL, click here, and what I'll do is I'll just go to the browser. So with my browser, I've removed the address bar. So let me just add the address bar back to the stream. There we go. Hope everyone can see the address bar now. So within the address bar of the browser, can you see that?
Yeah, you can.
There you go. So if I put in this is what the QR code was reporting. So it had the device as the root, and then the user code as this. And then when I put this in, that will provide that user code. So now I'm pretty much doing the device flow on my laptop. I think this will say it's a valid code because it's already been used. It's not an invalid code anymore. But if I remove this, this is now a text box. I can type in where the code. So if you're doing a device flow, you can just link your user to come to this code. You generate the code, and then start the flow, and then this will come through and do the device flow for you. So yeah, this is something which is possible there. So yeah, there's something I was going to mention earlier on. So yeah, you can pre-fill it or you can do any other way.
Nice, that's awesome. Awesome feature. Cool. Have a few minutes left, but we can quickly run through this last feature, which is the portal. Daniel, do you want to go to the Kind admin?
Yeah, let's do that. Cool. There's the Kind admin.
Cool. For a bit of context, I'm going to go through this quite quick. Let's quickly jump to billing and just show what plans we have, because we're going to show in the portal the ability to change for these plans. So we have 2 plans here. They're funky names. We're going to roll with it. We also have a pricing table to show these 2 different plans. Now let's go to settings in the Kind admin. So go back to home.
Yep. Oh, that's workflows.
Let's go to settings. Go down to portal. Under environments.
Self-service portal.
Yep, self-serve portal. And here's where you can configure a few things in the portal. You will see these details, but let's enable the user profile and billing. You can see a few other things, API keys, which we refer to in the self-serve. And you can also see enterprise SSO. These are still being feature flagged. They're still being tested internally. That's why you can see it here. you're getting a bit of a sneak preview into something that's not live for everybody.
But,
So let's not enable them yet.
Watch this space. That's what we'll say.
Exactly. Cool. Let's save that.
Yep.
And
let's see. Have I got save permissions? Oh, I need to sort my token out.
let's check what's going on. Give me 1 second.
Let's go to the team members at back again just to see if that's. Yeah, I've got a save button now.
Cool. Yeah, you probably just have to refresh it.
Yeah. So you want me to table these two? Is that correct?
Let's do user. So we're going to show the user portal, not the organization stuff.
Yeah.
And let's save that.
Cool. Yep.
And now let's log in and go to that portal.
So let's sign in.
So everything we're going to show in the portal, again, you can do through yourself with your own UI, communicating with the APIs. But if you don't want to do that yourself, we've got the handy portal, which you can now see on your screen. And you can edit details about the profile. So first name, last name. There's more details we're going to work on as well. And you can also see plan and payments. One more thing I forgot to do before you click on plan. Let's go back and let's change which plan this person is on.
Yep. Okay.
So because I think we are an existing plan. So let's actually click change plan because I think you're on a legacy plan, Daniel.
Choose.
That's all good. Let's go back and let's do a few things.
So the Kinde Admin, yeah?
Yep, go back to the Kinde Admin.
You want to...
Let's go to the user you logged in with.
Yep.
And let's go to...
Yep.
That one. Let's go to billing. Let's assign them a plan. Oh no, you don't want to go to, is that your organization?
That's the organization.
Yeah, so let's go to a different organization. You're assigned to a different one and let's log in with a different one.
Okay, let's do test.
Yep. And let's start a billing customer.
Mm-hmm.
And let's choose that plan. That's cool.
Okay.
And let's save that. And then now let's go log in into that organization because you logged in into a different one.
Test.
Yep, let's go to test.
Okay, and then go back to here.
Now let's go to your account settings. Let's go to plan. You'll see that plan you're on.
Yep.
And if you go to change plan, you can change your other plans as well. And all this functionality, all you need is a link to the portal, which is in a lot of the SDKs. You don't have to build any of this functionality yourself. And like we mentioned before, self-serve API keys, self-serve SSO on the tail end of development, going to be launched to production very, very soon, which is very exciting.
So you can change plan and give me money and that will ask you to pay for my account.
There you go.
So yeah, it's all built in. It's really good that that's now completely self-serve as part of that process.
Yeah, exactly. We're about to be out of time. We've run through so much, Daniel. I guess the last things to quickly say before we finish up is, we are going to do more office hours. There's a form that you will see floating around the Slack and Discord community and also our socials where you can suggest topics and questions to cover in future office hours. Obviously, anything we covered or anything else, just reach out on support or book a demo and we can walk you through any of these features we talked about or anything else about Kinde. We just want to chat to you. And lastly, it's free to sign up to Kinde and access any of these features we showed you. So sign up at kinde.com.
Yeah, this has been quite fun.
Let's do it again.
We will do it again, 100%. And thanks for watching. If you're watching live, hi, and thanks for joining in. We're really looking forward to the CLI. Or that's something we're quite happy with, and see what people come up with that. But yes, feel free to sign up. Look out for a few other things. Thanks for joining, and anyone who's going to be watching later on, we're going to share this on YouTube as well, so we will load it up onto our YouTube channel so people can watch it. So please, if you watch it later on, got any questions, feel free to reach out to like myself or Oli or anyone else from the Kind team or on any of our communities or via email. And yeah, we'll answer any questions you have about anything we've shown here and any other questions you may have.
Awesome.
Great. Have a good rest of your day.
See ya.
Yeah. Bye.